This is the story of a fisherman named John who goes out to sea with his small boat as usual. But this day, something feels different. Suddenly, a thick fog surrounds him, and nothing is visible in the distance. John loses his way, and while wandering, he spots an abandoned boat. Out of curiosity, he ties his boat to it and decides to go inside. As soon as he steps in, he loses consciousness. The entire boat is empty. No people, no sounds, only a deep and mysterious silence. When John enters the strange boat, everything appears normal. The food is fresh, clothes are neatly placed, and signs of human presence are everywhere. But not a single person is on board. He tries to start the boat, but the engine does not work. John is shocked to see such a lonely and empty ship in the vast sea. He picks up the binoculars to look around. Maybe someone is nearby, but the dense fog hides everything. Frustrated, he returns to the control room and turns on the radio. He sends out a message asking for help. He says, "This boat is stuck in the sea. If anyone can hear me, please respond." After the message, he decides to return to his own small boat. But when he comes outside, his boat is missing. Even though he tied it securely, his confusion grows. Then he notices the fog has suddenly cleared and the sky is completely open. It is now afternoon. John cannot understand what is happening. With no other way to leave, he goes back into the empty ship and tries to find a route using the map. He now focuses on figuring out where he is and how he can get back home. The problem is that the mysterious boat's engine is damaged. If he wants to survive, he must repair it. He searches the ship for tools and after great effort manages to fix the engine. This brings him some relief. The boat starts running and he slowly understands the direction. But the danger is not over yet. John goes to the control room and tries the radio again. This time too, no one answers. Everything remains a mystery. Then he goes upstairs and suddenly feels the need to use the toilet. Since no one is around, he decides to go near the edge of the ship. But as he reaches the side, someone suddenly pushes him from behind. He falls straight into the water. The situation becomes extremely dangerous. He struggles but grabs a reel to stop himself from drowning. The wind and water pressure are so strong that climbing back becomes difficult, but he does not give up. With courage, he slowly pulls himself up using the reel and manages to get back on the boat. After all this, he still has not finished what he came for, so he tries to go to the toilet again. As he reached downstairs, someone slammed the door shut. John first thought it was the wind and ignored it, but when he tried to get out, he saw the door was locked from inside. Now he was shocked. He tried everything to open the door. He even took a coin from his pocket, pushed it into the lock, and tried to force it open, but nothing worked. Now he began to feel he was not alone on this ship. Someone was troubling him, unseen but always present. He felt as if someone was playing with him. He shouted loudly for help. He said, "Please open the door. I'm not a thief. I only came to look around," but no answer came. Now he realized waiting for help was pointless. He walked toward the cabin and froze at what he saw inside. There were bloodstains. The atmosphere felt terrifying, but he ignored his fear and picked up a pair of scissors to open the door. But the lock still did not open. Then the entire ship started shaking violently as if something terrible was about to happen. John grew extremely nervous. His eyes then caught sight of a window above. He somehow climbed out through it and looked around. In the distance, he saw a massive cargo ship approaching. Its path was directly headed toward the same boat. John realized that if the ship collided, everything would be destroyed. He now had to save his life at any cost. He thought about sending a signal, but he had nothing with him. He quickly took off his shirt and waved it desperately so someone on the cargo ship might notice. But even after all his effort, no one saw him. Now John had to act fast to save himself. If his boat kept drifting forward, it could hit the cargo ship and end everything. Then he noticed a rope hanging near the window. An idea struck him immediately. If he used the rope, he might be able to slow down the boat. He quickly tied the rope and threw it out in an attempt to stop the ship. But the situation became worse. The rope got pulled into the engine fan, dragged toward the bathroom, and wrapped around his neck. He started choking. Standing on the edge of death, he gathered his strength and managed to free himself using a tool. His neck turned completely red. He had barely survived, but by getting stuck in the engine, the rope reduced the boat's speed. However, it was still not enough. The heavy cargo ship collided with the boat. The impact shook the ship violently, and John fell to the floor and lost consciousness. A deep injury formed on his head. After some time, when he regained consciousness, he saw the bathroom filled with water. But the most shocking thing was that it was not salty seawater, but clear, fresh water, as if someone was intentionally trying to scare him. He broke down and pleaded again. He said, "Whoever you are, please let me go." But still, no voice came. Now he was hungry, thirsty, and extremely weak. He drank the water falling from the bathroom shower until it ran out. Then he became even more confused when he tried drinking water from the line. Now that water had become salty, he immediately realized that there was a hole somewhere in the boat and seawater was entering. This boat would not last much longer. He nervously tried to open the door, but it seemed someone had locked it from outside. It was nighttime, and it felt as if an unseen and possibly evil force was controlling the boat. The water level kept rising, and John eventually fell asleep from exhaustion. During the night, a violent storm hit the sea, badly damaging the boat and seriously injuring John. When he opened his eyes in the morning, the water had reached up to his head, only his face was above the surface. Now he felt that only a few minutes of life were left. Then suddenly, a faint clicking sound came from somewhere, as if something had been unlocked. As John turned the handle, the door burst open. The water pressure was so strong that the door broke and fell inward, allowing him to escape. As soon as he got out, he climbed to the roof of the boat to breathe some fresh air. air, as there was almost no oxygen below. Now he was convinced that some invisible force wanted to torment him at any cost. He was physically and mentally shattered, and the water below kept rising. He understood that the boat could sink at any moment. John decided he would not stay on this ship any longer. Then an idea came to him. He removed the airbags from the ship and used the broken bathroom door to create a small raft. He tied everything tightly to ensure the raft stayed stable, but he also needed essential supplies to survive on the raft. He gathered food, water, and necessary tools from the ship and fully prepared himself. Without looking back, he stepped off the ship and began drifting into the sea on the raft. He was now on the raft, but the large ship still stood directly in front of him. Many hours passed, yet he could neither move far away nor watch the boat sink as he had expected. He believed it would sink within 5 to 10 minutes, but it remained exactly the same. Then a new thought came to his mind. If the boat had not sunk yet, why not fix the leak? If he repaired it, he could travel safely in a stronger boat. Thinking this, he returned to the ship. First, he sealed the leak. Then he used pipes and tools to create a pump so the water inside could be removed. With the pump he built, the seawater slowly drained out of the boat. After fixing the leak and removing the water, he repaired the rest of the ship's problems. He also reinforced the exterior to prevent further damage during the journey ahead. After the repairs were complete, he again tried calling for help through the radio, but once again there was no response. Feeling hopeless, he returned to the map and began studying the route again. He tried to move the boat forward, but when he started the engine, the ship did not move at all. It felt as though it was resisting him once again. The boat stood completely still, as if it had rooted itself into the water, and this thought broke him from the inside. He was completely exhausted. His hopes were fading. Then, from a distance, he saw another ship approaching. Now he had only one option left. He had to reach that ship using his small raft. He immediately climbed onto the raft and hurried toward it. But suddenly, the ship changed its direction and sped toward John, as if someone had deliberately sent it after him. John increased his speed, but the giant ship moved even faster, and just before it could hit him, John made a final desperate decision to jump off his raft and swim toward another boat he saw drifting away. But by the time he reached the spot, that boat had vanished. Then he realized that some evil force tied to this mysterious ship was not letting him escape. He decided that even if he risked his life, he would never return to that boat. But by evening, the water grew extremely cold while he was swimming. Dolphins swam below him, but the temperature kept dropping. Unable to endure the cold any longer, he was forced to return to the same boat. He was so tired and sick that he couldn't think anymore. He quietly wrapped himself in a blanket and slept in the room. When he woke up in the morning, he again decided to leave the ship. But now there was a new problem. The room door was shut tight. He panicked and slowly began to have a mental breakdown. He could not understand why this was happening to him. Then his eyes fell on a small cabin inside the room. When he opened it, he discovered a passage leading upward, a ventilation shaft that could serve as an escape route. He crawled into the cabin, which turned out to be a cramped storage space. Every time he tried to climb up through the storage area, he slipped and fell. He suffered several injuries from the falls, but he didn't give up. After trying again and again, he finally reached the top and attempted to open the vent window, but it wouldn't move at all. It looked as though it had been sealed intentionally. Now the oxygen in that narrow space was also running out quickly. Breathing became increasingly difficult. The door below was still locked. He couldn't return to the room. He felt certain this was his final moment. But then he heard the same mysterious clicking sound again. The cabin vent unlocked with a snap. With a shout, John rushed out without wasting a second. Fresh air hit his face and gave him a moment of relief. When he came out, he noticed the boat was heading toward a small island. Seeing this, a spark of hope rose in his heart. Maybe he would finally be free from this terrifying boat. As soon as the boat reached the shore, he jumped off immediately. He suspected there had to be someone on the island responsible for everything happening to him. Fueled by anger, he picked up a stick and began exploring the island. But soon he was confused. There was not a single trace of human life on the entire island. Now John was filled with anger and fear again. As soon as he left the island, a new scene appeared before his eyes. The same mysterious boat that brought him here was now moving across the calm sea as if searching for its next victim. Seeing this, John became completely convinced that both the boat and the island were controlled by some dark force. He had to escape at any cost. His life was still in his hands. He explored further and reached the highest peak of the island. From there, he saw another island far away in the distance, but it was so far that he couldn't clearly see what was happening there. As John wandered around the island, he slowly made his way back to the shore, but when he reached there, his eyes filled with tears. This was the exact place where his journey had begun. Everything looked the same. The same old boat tied at the same spot with the same people standing around, as if nothing had changed at all. The whole atmosphere felt untouched, like time itself had never moved forward. John stood frozen in shock. He couldn't believe that the nightmare he went through had actually happened. But now a new question troubled him. How did his boat return to the same place? And what was the true nature of this strange island? He didn't know whether it was all real or just a horrible dream, but the suffering he went through, that was the only truth he was sure of. If you enjoyed this movie explanation, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories.